Yo, what is up guys, it Ghost here, welcome back to Stormgate Central. So Frostgiant have just published a brand new article over on playstormgate.com, maybe some of you guys have already seen this, and this one is detailing some of the major changes that are coming to the creep camps in what they're calling Creeps 2.0. So this is the major rework that they alluded to in the previous beta test that they're going to make to the creep camps, and it looks like some of these changes will be playable in the Frigate upcoming playtest later on this April. So those of you who watched yesterday's video, you probably saw that Samwise Didier, the ex-Blizzard art director, has been doing some work for Stormgate as well as a freelance artist, and he was showing off some of these guys here. This is the new Scavenger Creep faction, and this is just one of the factions that is going to be in Stormgate. So let's jump on into the article. Guys, if you do enjoy the Stormgate content here on the channel, hit up the sub button, hit up the like button. There's lots more content to come on Stormgate in the near future. Thank you guys so much. Okay, let's jump in here. So with Creeps 2.0, creep camps will incorporate capture points. When the last creep in a camp dies, a circular capture point will be activated. Keeping friendly units within that radius for a certain amount of time will capture that camp, giving its benefit to your army or team. Once captured, this point can be recaptured or back-camped by an opponent, which will then change the allegiance of the camp, making them dynamic points of interest on the map at any given time. Enemies can contest control of a capture point with their own uncloaked land and air units. Now that is very interesting wording there. They say uncloaked land and air units. As most of you guys will know, Stormgate does not have any cloaked land or air units as of yet. So why would they say that there if there was no plan for any cloaked units? I can certainly understand why you wouldn't want cloaked units to be able to capture these points. Maybe they're purposefully leading us down the rabbit hole here, but it sounds to me like this third faction may be getting cloaking, especially if they're anything like the Protoss, I guess. So they continue here, however, sentry posts, shroud stones, and other structures are unable to take or contest a capture point, so you can't just plop down a shroud stone with a special ability. That is not going to work. Capture points, we believe, will make for exciting skirmishes over their control versus the current winner-takes-all result of dealing the killing blow on the last surviving creep minion. So at the moment, as you guys may be aware, whoever gets the killing blow on the creep they get the cash, they get the luminite, they get the therium, whatever the resource is. And similarly with capturable areas that we already have in Stormgate, like the vision ones and stuff like that, whoever happens to run into that vision and claim it, they get the vision tower for themselves. Now they continue on here, when a capture point is captured, it will often provide a combination of local and global benefits to the player. Local benefits ensure that battles that take place near the capture point will have a twist, while global benefits allow for capture points that are off the beaten path to impact gameplay. For example, capturing a health camp might grant the capturing player greatly increased health regeneration near the camp, but a minor health regeneration bonus no matter where they are on the map. So I think this is in general a good idea. There are a few caveats to that though, and I'll get to that later on in the video. But the map that comes to mind for me here is Secluded Grove. There are a lot of camps in the corners of the map that really aren't worth going for at the moment. It's not worth going out of your way to go and capture these camps, not even for the resources, and you can barely make use of the speed buff or the health buff that they provide. Now, I'm sure the example that they're giving here is just that, an example. Maybe these health camps won't increase the health regeneration of your army wherever they are on the map, because I'm sure you guys can see the potential for yourself to just go and capture all of those health camps and get some super meaty passive health regeneration buff for your army. That sounds a little bit overpowered, but this is just, of course, an example. We also like the idea of capture points triggering an immediate effect once claimed. That can include spawning a powerful neutral minion. We've been using a placeholder catapult in our playtest so far, so on Jagged Moor, or one of our other creep camp rewards like map vision, health regeneration, or movement speed boost. After a certain amount of time, the creep camp units will respawn, but at a higher level that increases both their difficulty and the quality of their reward. All players in a game will be able to see the current level of any creep camp so that they can gauge how actively they are being used and choose whether to contest them appropriately. We believe this new version of creep camps will more greatly encourage players to contest territory across the entire map throughout the entire game. Previously, creep camp locations were only important to contest when the creeps were alive, but with these new changes, players are encouraged to contest and hold all of the creep camp locations no matter what state they're in. Even as a player with a smaller army, you can maneuver your forces around the map in a way such that you're able to hold a significant proportion of capture points on the map. Now, I've recently been playing another RTS game that you guys may have heard of called Zero Space, and one of the big features of Zero Space are these capturable towers. Now, it's fair to say that these capturable towers are probably more impactful than the capturable zones that Stormgate and Frost Giant are talking about here, but I have to say that one of my slight, not gripes, but like worries with the future of that game is that it seems to be a lot about controlling the map and building up these points and upgrading your talent points, I guess you can call it, like your top bar abilities, until you can pretty much just steamroll over your opponent because you have that much of an advantage. And it becomes less about skirmishing into the enemy base, taking out expansions, doing drops, killing off workers, and all of those things that I know a lot of us have come to know and love from StarCraft and Warcraft. So with the creeps the way they've always been in Stormgate, I felt like there was already a pretty decent balance. You know, you could definitely gain an advantage, for example, as the Vanguard. If you rushed out early dogs, you got the upgrade for the dogs so they could do extra damage to light. You could actually be very effective taking out those creeps around the map, building yourself a little bit of an earlier expansion to offset the fact that you'd gone for the upgraded dogs. You could also do things like going and killing the deer on the health camp for 75 Therium to make yourself able to buy that upgrade a little bit faster than you otherwise would have been able to. And then of course there's been some really nice play in and around the health camps, the speed camps, and of course we've seen the Infernals using their infect ability to gain an army of fiends. But on the other hand, you can also play the game and simply not really worry about any of these camps at all. You can just go for some sort of a 2-base build, maybe an all-in or something like that, and you can still win the game even if your opponent decided to go the route of making use of all of the creep camps around the map. And I actually really like that. I like having the choice of you can either play the creep camp route and try to control them, or you can also go the route of just early expanding and not worrying about them too much and just simply letting your opponent have them. If all of these creep camps are now going to add up, let's say, with the health camps for example, to some sort of a passive regenerative health buff, surely it depends how strong that buff is going to be. But my only worry here is that if somebody's controlling all of the camps on the map and the other person has decided to go for, let's say, an early expansion and they haven't gotten out on the map, if you end up in some sort of a death ball situation and you clash against your enemy's army, that whoever's holding all of these capturable points is just going to have way too many of these passive buffs and they're going to steamroll the other person. But overall, I don't think this is a bad idea. I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to further encourage people to get out on the maps and to control some of these more fringe creep camps, let's say, on the edges of the map. So I do think in theory it is a good idea, but it's going to largely depend on balance and how they implement this. Now they do continue on here, so they say, until recently, our creep camps had featured temporary art like our Viking chickens, while we worked with a legendary artist to shape the future of these neutral minions. While we will miss our fine feathered fill-ins, we are excited to see how our new neutral minions, designed to fit into the lore and world building of Stormgate's future Earth, will help make our game feel that much more immersive and fun. Today we are excited to share a behind the scenes look at the concept art for these new creep camps with a video narrated by none other than our friend Samwise Didier. And of course, this was in the video I showed you guys yesterday. Sammy worked with many of us as the art director on the Warcraft and StarCraft RTS games back at Blizzard Entertainment. We are honoured to share that he's been contributing his unique talents and artistic vision to Stormgate. Sammy put together this killer video sharing a walkthrough of his process for creating the concept art behind the first of our 3 new creep camp families, the Scavengers. Now again, I will link that video to Sammy down below in his channel. But I mentioned this in yesterday's video, how many of these families there were going to be. We now know there is 3, so once the 3rd faction has been confirmed to have some sort of an interaction with these new creep camps, that interaction may not be with the Scavengers, it may be with one of the other 2 creep camp families. So who are the Scavengers? The Vanguard are Earth's best hope for survival. As the player-controlled human faction, they represent humanity at the height of technological prowess and scientific knowledge. But other survivors of the infernal onslaught that nearly wiped out mankind can still be found in the wastes around the world. Nomadic tribes, some more violent than others, seek out unpopulated corners of the earth and have reverted to barbarism and plunder. Players will encounter various bands of dangerous foes as they fight for control of territory, including the savage mechanically enhanced Scavengers. In the future, we'll share a look at our other creep camp families, the Cultists and the Cannibals. So that is very interesting stuff right there, the Cultists and the Cannibals. So those are the 3 creep camp families that we are going to see in the game. I can't wait to see what sorts of abilities they have, because as much as these chickens and deer have been placeholder, I am going to assume that the weapons they've been using have also been placeholder. So the deer were firing missiles. Maybe it's a scavenger missile, I don't know. I'm going to assume it's placeholder as well. So it's going to be really, really cool to see what kind of different weapons these creep camps have and how you actually deal with them. The scavengers, we've already seen they've got stuff like miniguns, flamethrowers, bladed, blunt weaponry and stuff like that. So how are the cultists and the cannibals going to differ? I'm assuming the cannibals will try and eat your face off, and the cultists will be some sort of spellcaster race. And finally here, they say closed beta players will get their hands on some of the changes coming to our new creep camps in the upcoming Frigate playtest. If you haven't already become a Stormgate founder, you can purchase a founders pack via Indiegogo here and take part in the playtesting. The upcoming closed beta, kicking off at the end of April, will also be our playtesters' first opportunity to get their hands on Stormgate's unannounced third faction, which may or may not be a race of magical anime catgirls. Personally, I'm hoping that it is. So exciting stuff, guys. I can't wait to get my hands on the Frigate tester. Hopefully I'm going to see some of you guys there as well and play a few games with y'all. If you missed yesterday's video taking a more in-depth look at some of the new concept art made by Samwise for this creep camp faction, the Scavengers, go and check out yesterday's video. But otherwise, take it easy, guys. Thank you for watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.